on Lauren's point, whether it makes sense to keep meeting, we can meet, but try to make the meeting short this evening.
If we don't have a quorum, let's put it off the next month.
Oh, why am I only counting 5 now? Did someone drop off or am I miscounting?
There's 6.
Is it
Some of
okay?
them 6.
Okay.
My sister tried to call me, but I'm using this phone, so I don't know if she's having problems or not.
Yeah, I'm here. I was just calling to remind you, so it worked out.
Okay. Okay, good.
So I guess
Wow.
we can call to order then, if we've got six members here.
Yes, I think so. We'll see in roll call, or we'll verify, I guess, in roll call.
Okay, meeting called to order at 7:07. I'm going to do a member roll call. Judith Humberg. We know she's not here. Vacant position, not here. Natalie Sayre.
I'm sorry, here.
No worries. Louis Fagoni.
Here.
Vacant position. John Vars.
Here.
Bill Cook. Bill Cook.
Here.
Thank you. Peter Markey.
Here.
Vacant position, vacant position. I'm Lauren Silverman and I am here. So we do have a quorum. Oh, sorry. I got to do the non-voting members too. Sorry. Natural Resource Conservation Staff, Jim Howard. I don't think he's here. San Mateo County Agricultural Commissioner, Corin Little.
Here.
Thank you. Farm Bureau Executive Director, Jess Brown.
Here.
San Mateo County Planning Staff, Summer Burleson.
Here.
And UC Co-op Extension Representative, Frank McPherson. Okie dokie. So we've got a quorum.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm supposed to.
I guess.
Next is adopt a resolution that as a result of the continuing COVID-19 pandemic state of emergency, meeting in person would present imminent risks to the health and safety of attendees. I will happily make a motion. I make a motion to adopt a resolution that as a result of the continuing COVID-19 pandemic state of emergency, meeting in person would present imminent risk to the health and safety of attendees.
I second it.
Okay, next roll call vote. Okay, let me get back to my vote.
What are we voting on?
This is the one, every meeting now at the beginning, we're going to have to vote to meet remotely as a result of the pandemic until we decide not to.
Okay, so we got to do the vote on it every meeting.
Yeah.
And sorry, I missed the last meeting. Is that because the governor's order is no longer valid? Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
I see Summer shaking her head. Okay.
Okay. Judy's not here. So Natalie.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Louis.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Thank you. Peter.
Yes.
And I am Lauren and I vote yes. Okay. Passed 6-0-0 with one absent member. Okay. And then we've got the next item on the agenda, number 4, officer elections for chair and vice chair, item continued from October 18th, 2021 meeting. I'm gonna also make a motion to table this item until the next meeting, pending filling vacancies.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, seconded by John.
Lauren, what are we tabling the next meeting? I didn't
Oh,
quite
just
catch
sorry,
that.
the officer elections, because we wanted to
Okay,
wait
very
to
good.
do that until the vacancies were filled.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so this is a motion to table officer elections until, table them for the next meeting pending filling vacancies. Back to my roll call sheet. Okay, this is for item 4, Natalie,
Yes, sorry.
oh, you're good. Louis,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
and I'm Lauren, and I, oh, yes. So that passes 600 with 1 absent member. Okay, next up, we've got item number 5, oral communications to allow the public to address the committee on any matter not on the agenda. If your subject is not on the agenda, the chair will recognize you at this time.
I don't see anyone's hands raised, but if anybody in the attendees wants to say something, go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, should we move on? Is there?
Okay, I'll take that as a none. So next is item number 6, committee member updates and or questions to allow committee members to share news and or concerns for items not on the agenda. I think we should probably just make sure the conversation we had before calling the meeting to order is also on record, which was just the timeline for filling the vacancies. So I'll just say, now that we're in the meeting, that as Summer let us know,
Yes, sorry.
candidates have been
It
selected.
wasn't registering, Lauren, I'm sorry.
Okay, I can do it all.
In terms, yes, regarding filling the open positions on the Ag Advisory Committee, the applicants have been consolidated and passed over to the clerk's office. The boards and commissions has passed it over to the Board of Supervisors, President Canepa, and are currently in the process of putting together the interview committee to interview applicants. After interviews, selections will be made through the interview committee, and they will be recommended for appointment to the Board of Supervisors. That will need to be, the appointment will need to come from the Board of Supervisors at a public Board of Supervisors meeting. And so the interviews, they're working on putting together the interview panel currently, and hopefully interviews would be happening in the next few weeks.
Great, thank you.
Do we know how many applications there were? Is that public
I'm
knowledge?
not sure if I am allowed to say that. I know that that was a
Okay.
question to the clerk's office after the close and of the interviews and of the applications, and that information, they were not able to release that information at that time. So I am not able to say exactly, but I do know there was a lot of interest. So
Okay, that's
yes.
good.
Yes.
Good news.
Great. Carrie has her hand up, John, when you're ready.
May I speak?
John, you're muted. I think the chair needs to recognize speakers.
Yes, you may. Please go
Thank you,
ahead.
John. Thank you, John. I'm Carrie Burke. Summer, not that you don't have enough to do, but when the new vacancies are filled, do they get a orientation, just a rundown on the PAD and kind of the typical projects and the duties for the new committee members? It'd just be interesting to know if they got a little coaching before they got to join in on this great committee.
Yes, good question, Carrie. Thanks. Yes, we do plan to do some orientation to the new committee members before their first meeting. I believe there are binders that have been put together for the members, and so we'll be putting together some binders for the new members as well, which just includes the AAC bylaws and zoning regulations that are pertinent to the AAC committee, and some other useful tools and information. And we also are looking at trying to work in some training sessions for once the new members come on board for the new members, as well as just refreshers for existing members.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thanks.
I think that would be great. I'm all for that.
As an existing member, agree. John, Audria also has her hand up.
Audria, please feel free to address the committee.
Thank you. This is going to be a little bit redundant after Summer said that there would be some training opportunities, but I did want to bring up that when I interviewed you guys a couple years, like a year and a half ago, maybe, about your role on the Ag Advisory Committee and recommendations, one of the recommendations was that the onboarding process could be improved, and that being handed a binder is a little overwhelming, especially if you're not from like a regulatory background. And so I think the idea of training sound really good. Another recommendation that someone or a few people made was kind of creating like a bit of a buddy situation. So if someone started and they were, it takes a while to kind of like wrap your head around what your role is and all the regulations that are important for you guys as committee members to understand, that there might be someone who is an experienced AAC member who could just be available to answer questions to that person in between meetings. So not that much catch up has to happen, but during the actual meetings themselves. So just throwing those ideas out there that were once suggested, if you guys want to act on them.
Thank you, Audria.
Okay, any other committee member updates for items not on the agenda? Okay, cool. I'm gonna, if you're okay, John, move on to item number 7.
Yes.
Okay, great. This is a committee discussion and update on the current COVID-19 pandemic, potential policies needed to protect local agriculture and water from contamination, how the pandemic may affect local food supply and access to farm labor and resources available to producers and farm workers. So I
think you guys are all aware, hopefully, that they're going to be rolling out some mobile vaccine clinics. I guess boosters would be what it's for, like on the farm. So if anyone's interested, I know I heard Lauren say that there were some people interested at last meeting. So hopefully those people have been contacted. If you haven't been, you can feel free to give me a call and I can try to contact health for you and we can get someone over to your farm. But that's all I have.
Who's that? Who is that speaking?
Oh, sorry, this is Corin.
Okay.
I know for Pescadero growers, it's going to be Puente's organizing it.
Good.
And then for like Half Moon Bay area, it's healthcare for the homeless, farm worker health, and my department can help facilitate that as well. I see somebody's hand is up. Oh, Natalie.
Yeah, Natalie, would you like to address the committee, Natalie?
A question for Corin, thank you. Do you know roughly when that's going to occur? Because we did get a email about it a few weeks ago, and we said that we would like to do that because we did do that for our farm for the initial shots, the initial vaccines, but then we haven't heard anything since. So do you know the rough timeline?
I think, let's see, Irene had contacted you, right? Irene Pasma?
Yeah, should I
Yeah.
give her a call or email?
Yeah, she's organizing it all right now. I think they're supposed to happen maybe next week is what they're kind of looking at. I think with the kids being cleared, the 5 to 11-year-olds, that added in some extra shots that they needed to get out too. So I don't know if that added to the workload there.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in and offer more info from our Farm Worker Affairs Coalition meeting last week. Irene at that point said they were having a meeting to work out final details at the beginning of this week, and they will communicate next steps to farmers shortly after the meeting.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, it says she said that it's still being discussed right now.
Uh-oh, did I freeze?
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. Do you hear me?
Yes, okay.
Okay. Yeah, so as of today, she said they're still being discussed at the health department. So they'll keep you posted.
Okay, I had another question regarding masks, disposable masks. Where are we with that? Does the county still have those available for the farms?
I believe we still have some disposable masks. I'd have to check. So Half Moon Bay, our Half Moon Bay office should have some there. I don't know if you want to call them and see if they're there, but I can also check too tomorrow when I get in.
Okay.
And see, but I believe we still have some. The state isn't giving us any more, so kind of what we have is it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, that's all I have.
And then what I just wanted to share, which I continue to share every month, is that free testing is available every Wednesday in front of Ted Adcock Community Center from 10 to 6. And free vaccine, Coastside Hope is now hosting weekly vaccine clinics every single Friday. Last I heard that those were just in the afternoon. I was wrong. They are all day long. So, and I think they're trying to go until 6 to try to catch some after work folks in the afternoon, but and available to farms. There's also every Friday at Coastside Hope, a Vax clinic. And I think the last thing I want to make sure to clarify is that for the booster vax clinics that are rolling out, there will still be first and second doses available. So if you have some farm workers at your farm that didn't express interest initially and want to get their first dose now, those will be available through the same clinics with the booster shots. Well, I think that was everything on my end.
Okay, thanks guys for keeping us up to date on that. Sounds like there'll maybe on-farm clinics as early as next week. I know that we're in contact with Puente at my farm, and I guess we can move on to the next agenda item.
Okay, number 8, committee discussion and update on next action steps for market development for San Mateo County's agricultural production and potential.
So does anyone have any intel on that? I know that was kind of BJ's project. I'm sure he's got some other folks involved. Maybe Jess has some information over at Farm Bureau, or maybe not.
No, I was going to say that Audrea may want to talk about a meeting she has planned.
Hi, everyone. Yes. So I have been continuing this work, and it's been actually very well timed because there have been separate conversations that I've picked up on from different people within the ag community, all kind of talking about the same thing around ways to better coordinate access to markets and services within our county. So I've connected those people in those conversation lines, and we decided on a December 9th date, and we don't have, it's going to be an evening meeting in person, very likely at somewhere in Half Moon Bay. I'm still working on room rental. And we have a rough agenda that's basically gonna have a bit of a panel to talk, farmers to introduce certain ideas that they've had, and then to have more of an open discussion, followed by a bit of a like breakout group exercise for people to have smaller discussions with the topic that interests them the most. And then come back together to talk about next steps and kind of review what seemed to rise to the top for biggest needs or biggest opportunities for everyone. So we have a planning meeting coming up tomorrow with some of those folks that have expressed interest in being part of this. And then there was also a survey that went out to farmers and ranchers on the coast that was sent out by some local farmers, just like, again, perfectly timed. So I sent that out also. There's been a lot of good feedback, and we'll discuss those results also at the meeting. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great opportunity to bring farmers together and talk about these issues, and then kind of move the discussion to the next steps phase. And I will send out a notice about that very soon.
Did you say the meeting is tomorrow, or is it Wednesday?
Our planning meeting?
Yes.
It's Wednesday. I'm confused on what day it is.
Okay, that's fine. I thought maybe I was, thanks.
Well, this is Lauren. I just want to say that's great news. I'm excited to see the synergy coming together around this. And since December 9th is before our next scheduled AAC meeting, I think you got all of our contacts already, but if you can just make sure to let us know so we can participate. I'm looking forward to being there.
Will do.
Okay, great. Thanks, Adria. It's good to hear there's some momentum. I'm just looking now that I received that survey. I should fill it out from you. It said fill it out by November 12th, so I've got a couple days.
That's not a hard deadline, but yeah, the sooner the better, because we're going to use that information to shape the agenda a little bit better.
Cool. Okay, great. Do you guys want to talk about farm
Well,
stand guidelines again? That's
I was
what's on
gonna
our regular
say-
agenda.
Yeah, I'll read it in and then I'll say why we can't actually discuss it. So regular agenda item number 9, finalize committee review of draft farm stand guidelines. The guidelines were previously discussed at the March 8th, April 12th, May 10th, June 14th, July 12th, August 9th, September 13th, and October 18th, 2021 AAC meetings. So at the last meeting, you guys gave me great notes and feedback. They are all still written on my notes sheet and were not typed into anything and sent to Summer. So I don't think it makes sense for us to discuss it since the notes included in the packet were not the most recent, did not reflect the most recent conversations. And so there's no, I mean, we can have the same conversation we had last time, but I don't think that makes a lot of sense. So I can promise for sure they will be in the next month's packet because the huge work event that took all of my bandwidth last month is now done. And so I will absolutely catch up on the minutes and the notes this month. But since you guys don't have accurate notes of what we discussed most recently, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for us to try to discuss it further. But open to what you guys think.
We could put it off the next month and next meeting.
That's what I was thinking, if you guys don't mind. At this point, it's like we've taken it a long ways. What's another month?
That's fine with me.
Me too. Do we need to make a motion around that?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think so. I see Summer kind of nodding her head.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
I move that we postpone the discussion on the farm stand guidelines until our next meeting.
Louis will second it.
Okay, gonna do a roll call vote for item 9. Okay,
Do we still have a quorum?
good question.
1, 2, 3,
I think so.
4, 5.
Yeah, as long as
Yes.
Peter's still with us, I think.
I'm Peter still here.
Okay, great. Then I'll do the roll call vote. This is a motion to postpone discussion on until the next meeting. Natalie,
Yes.
Louis,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
and I'm Lauren and I vote yes, so it passes 6-0 with 1 member absent. Okay, which brings us to item number 10, Community Development Director's Report. Which also is really light. Other than, sorry, go ahead.
Do you want me to run through that or?
Actually, that would be helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. So community in the community development director's report, there was one project that went to Planning Commission on October 13th. We discussed it at the last meeting, or was mentioned at the last meeting, but it was the Planning Commission's consideration of the Ag Advisory Committee's comments on the county's evaluation of the Orada Pumpkin Farm properties, Williamson Act contract compliance. That went to the Planning Commission on October 13th, and they did consider the Ag Advisory Committee's comments and recommendation. They did approve to allow that PAD permit and CDP for the seasonal recreation activities to continue. That is a 5-year permit, with year 1 having been 2020. So this year, 2021 was year 2, and there then are 3 more years on the current permit. And with that, I did just want to mention there was discussion at the last meeting, Ag Advisory Committee meeting, during, I think, public oral communications regarding the pumpkin season relative to traffic concerns and issues, particularly, I think, over the previous weekend from the last Ag Advisory Committee meeting, and staff subsequent to that meeting did reach out to both Public Works and to the Sheriff's Office regarding those concerns. And I am waiting to hear back kind of how the end of that season went, which was the last week and a half or so, from the Sheriff's Office. But I know that the Sheriff's Office did go out and speak to the operators. They did have patrol officers, or I don't know what you call them, but monitoring that area. They did put up, I'm told by the Sheriff's Office, they did put up no parking sign, some sort of electronic roadside sign for no parking along Highway 1. And the pumpkin farm operator put up no parking signs along Verde Road. Some of the concerns that the Sheriff's Office had identified from that mid-month weekend that some people from during the Ag Advisory Committee in October had raised concerns about, particularly that they were, the Sheriff's Office felt they were inadequately spaced. We did ask them to put no parking signs up for the last weekend, the Halloween weekend, that were closer spaced together to try to help prevent people from parking, you know, in between the no parking signs. And like I said, I am waiting to hear back from the Sheriff's Department regarding kind of that last weekend, the Halloween weekend, how it went, and from Coastside Fire, who was also involved in the discussions with the Sheriff's Office and with Public Works that planning staff had. And then we're also working with the operator to chart out a plan and some recommendations relative to some of the conditions of approval related to traffic and parking that will need to be reviewed by the Department of Public Works and the Sheriff's Office and Coastside Fire Station as well. So putting together a timeline / schedule of specific items that are going to be due from the applicant in advance of the next seasonal recreation activity season. So that
If I may
is
just-
that report.
Summer, this is Lauren. I just want to jump in and clarify. It was not members of this committee that raised concerns about traffic. It was members of the public who came to this committee to make sure that concerns about traffic were communicated to the county.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for that clarification.
And then Carrie has her hand up.
Yes.
Thank you, Summer. Yes, the electronic billboard is up and running and it says no parking subject to parking tickets. So hopefully that will be a deterrent right there at Arata Pumpkin Farm. But also just as another concern in driving by, the big trucks with their backed up against the creek bank right there in the scenic corridor. I don't know if that's part of their approved site plan, but it looks like they're stationary. They might be storage rather than active ag related, but it's just something to keep an eye on, whether that was an approved activity right there in the buffer zone of the creek. And thank you for keeping on top of it.
Thanks for pointing that out, Carrie. Yeah, planning staff is going out on Wednesday of this week to ensure that all of the seasonal recreation activity items and structures and so forth are all removed as required per conditions. So we'll take a look at that as well, since it's been pointed out. So thank you.
I'm glad I'm not having to move all those wet hay bales. Thank you, Summer.
Natalie's got her hand up.
Hi, thank you. I have a question, Summer, for somebody that is not part of agritourism, but yet in the PAD permit, like I believe that's the case with Arata. What are the required parking for adequate parking in general? What is the requirement for PAD?
The requirement for his property is, I believe, I want to say 130. It's let me see, it's cited here. Sorry, give me 1 minute. It's 135 on-site parking spaces.
Are they going to like increase that, or is it the fact that he is supposed to have 135, but he doesn't have 135, or is it something that needs to be increased? What's the division there?
Well, it was at the Planning Commission meeting, the conditions of approval were approved by the Planning Commission for the existing or current measure of 135 on-site parking spaces on the property. What we have heard from, I think, Coastside Fire and from the applicant, at least this season, is that parking, there is a cost to park in the parking lot, which may be some of the deterrent for people to actually utilize the parking lot. So while there may be, sufficient space, or there's spaces to park on the site, that could be a deterrent. And so it is one of the things, we don't have any conditions or requirements as to whether they can or cannot charge for parking, but it is something we're going to take a closer look at with the applicant. He, I believe, has mentioned that a neighboring property has opened or had opened his property, their property, to also allow some parking. And so we'll be following up with the applicant. There are conditions that as he can work with neighboring properties to help accommodate parking in other lots as well, that perhaps that's an option moving forward. I think it has not been in the past, but it sounds like maybe there is a neighbor that has opened up some parking for
Did they-
this past season.
Do they intend to charge for the neighboring parking as well, or do you guys not know?
I had heard, it's just rumor, I had heard that the neighbor did charge for parking and that it was cheaper than the on-site parking. So people were utilizing it, I guess. And that's just what I've heard. I've not been able to verify that.
So the neighbor is already charging for parking
Really
without
appreciate you throwing us.
permitting?
I'm sorry.
I just heard that the neighbor is charging for parking for an agritourism permit that's not connected to their parcel or property.
So they were charging for, as I've heard, I've not verified this myself, but what I've heard is that there was a neighbor that did open their gates and was charging for parking. There are conditions that the applicant, the operator of the pumpkin farm, does seek off-site parking on other properties in the neighborhood as he can, work out agreements with those neighbors. So it is something that we were made aware of for this year, and that we'll also be following up with the applicant to secure, if that's going to occur in the future, to be able to secure some agreements and staff then have a chance to review those locations for parking.
Okay, I'm gonna let Carrie's got her hand up, but I just want to make sure that if a PAD permit allows for parking on different parcels, that those those adjacent parcels are included as part of the PAD permit. Otherwise, shouldn't they be required to get their own permits for parking, which is not
They may be
related
required
to their
to.
prime agricultural use of those
They
sites?
may. That's part of what we need to be able to review, which properties those are and where they're located and how much and the details of it, to be able to determine what is needed for that to continue.
Okay, I look forward to hearing back once the county determines that. Carrie's got her hand up and then Natalie's got her hand up.
Yes, yes, I know, unfortunately, it just seems like, the more we get into this, the more complicated it does get. But if you're charging for parking, it seems more like a parking lot rather than it really being ancillary to the quote unquote commercial, agricultural, or the agricultural aspects of this operation. And yes, I agree that if it was going on to another parcel, that they would either have to go by their own separate small agritourism permit and meet those requirements, for a very specific amount of time. So yeah, it's a lot to take in and understand how this dynamic, kind of spreads out, and how it, actually then it really comes back even down to the farm stand with how regulated that is, and that, that this would still have, this has very, large impacts over this specific time of year that we all enjoy on the coast side. But, it does sound like something that the county will be taking a look at. And I think it's just worthwhile because whatever we learn can hopefully be applied, to other situations and permits. But this is probably one of the more active ones that requires attention. Thank you.
Hi, so I just wanted to say thank you. I just wanted to say that number one, yeah, I agree that it's concerning that it's not necessarily ancillary to agriculture, but more of a parking lot if you pay for it. But then again, there are things that are part of ag tourism or agriculture that are ancillary that we pay for. So it's so difficult. So I guess my first thought before I had heard what else was said was I just wanted to briefly say that I think it's really admirable that the county is following up on our concerns. So I really wanted to thank you for that, Summer. And I think that, albeit maybe it's not always the right thing and we need to guide him, I think perhaps it's a good thing that this particular farm is trying to find other ways, to whether it's because you're pushing them or whatever the reason. But I'm glad that there's some other things being looked at to solve the parking issue. Anyway, just throwing it out there. Thank you.
I got a question when you get a chance.
Yeah, go ahead,
John?
Peter.
One of the things that I noticed is when the Pie Ranch first started, when you're traveling southbound, it says Caltrans put in a medium turn from a left-hand turn in the middle for the Pie Ranch, and then when they redid the Highway 1 from that stretch from the county line all the way into Pescadero, they also put in for the tree farm a left turn, and I was just wondering if Caltrans could do the same for the Ratapunkan farm, so that way there, when somebody's traveling southbound, they could pull into the middle with an arrow, just like they did for the other two farms down south, which would help. And that's what Caltrans did. And I thought that was pretty interesting that I noticed that. And then I noticed that they just did it this year for the tree farm that's seasonal opening over there. That's just a quick comment there. That's all.
Thanks. That's something we can definitely check into with Caltrans as to how that was done for those facilities.
Yeah, it shortened the passing lane on the southbound, and some time ago for Pie Ranch, and then this year they added another one when they redid it for the Christmas tree farm down there. And there's really not that much traffic down there. I was surprised they did it, but when travels towards Santa Cruz, I paid attention and I noticed that one was new and added this year. So for the tree farm.
It's a good suggestion, Peter.
Thank you, John. Come up with one once in a while.
Say more than once in a while.
So just to, if the chair wishes, I can move on to the rest of the directors to complete their director's report.
Yeah, if there's no other comments on this, that would be great. Sounds like you, go,
Okay.
please
Okay.
proceed.
So there were no new PID permit applications filed since the last meeting in October. There was one rural CDX coastal development permit exemption application that was submitted during this past month. And that is included as an attachment to the director's report. And that was PLN 2021-00403 for a temporary tent at the Costanoa campground that was installed from October 22nd through October 25th for an event that occurred on October 23rd on Rossi Road in Pescadero. And then the only other announcements through the director's report, the next regular AAC meeting is scheduled for December 13th. That's Monday, December 13th, 2021. And I'll leave it to the committee if they wish to discuss, whether to hold that date as a meeting date, depending on how the process goes, how quickly the process goes prior to that with getting new members on board. And then just that the AAC meetings will continue to be held via video conference until further notice to adhere to social distancing guidelines with the item 3 adoption of the resolution that occurred at this meeting to be required still at all future meetings as one of the first items on the agenda to continue holding teleconference meetings until further notice. That completes the director's report.
Thanks, Summer. I
Great.
think
Thank you, Summer.
this is Lauren. I just want to jump in on that note on the schedule. I know right at the beginning, before we called to order, we said maybe we shouldn't have maybe if, we don't need one, but I think we will have the farm stand guidelines notes then. And it might, if we don't have any other items, could potentially, I don't want to jinx it, I'm going to knock on wood before I even say this, could be a short meeting of us just finalizing that project and sending it back to the county before the new members come on in January, because they won't have context for the last 8 months of work we've been doing on that. So that would be my case to actually have a December meeting if we choose to.
Yeah, and it sounds like it would be occurring after the planned December 9th meeting regarding
Right.
market development. And although we might not agendize it, we could, that could be a good time to discuss it.
Not to add on to all the work that you have, Lauren, but with the farm stand guidelines and so forth. But as an end of year meeting, it would be great to be able to put before the committee all of the previous meeting minutes for this year that are outstanding.
Yes, as I said previously, in
To
the
kind of
meeting,
wrap
will
up.
all be provided before the next meeting, as I
Yeah, just to
previously
kind of
stated.
wrap up. That'd be
As
great.
I had previously stated, they will be available.
Great, thanks.
Natalie's got her hand up.
Hi, is it
Yeah,
okay?
good.
Go ahead. I just have a quick question. There's a possibility that I might have some difficulty making the next meeting, the December meeting. And I just wanted to check and see if you guys would have enough for a quorum if I'm not here. I mean, I think it just, if it's a matter of a quorum and you need me here, I will absolutely try harder to be here. I'm just not sure yet. So I wanted to let
On
you
that front, perhaps Summer, can you send out, when you send out the packet, do what you've been doing previously and ask for folks to let us know if they can't join? Because ideally, if Judy can join next meeting and we lose you, Natalie will still have the 6th quorum, but if Judy's still out next month plus you, then that's when we get stuck.
Yes.
Could I make a comment on that?
Yes, Peter. go.
Hello? Yeah, I think it was James before Steve. I said they used to call before all the members before the meeting to make sure they have a quorum. The morning of the day of the meeting. So I don't know if that would be a good suggestion on this one here. So that way there would.
If that would be helpful for committee members, I can certainly do that the morning of the meeting. If it's maybe better to get a phone call than try to, catch the email. Just let me know if that's what the group would like.
There with James, and that was also when we were traveling. And so if there wasn't a quorum, and then we called everybody, we're not going to have a quorum, so we canceled it. But if we had a quorum, knew we had a quorum, we said, yeah, we got a quorum. And so yeah, that's just a suggestion. If you kind of want to know pre-hand, that's all. It's up to you guys. It's just something that I'm throwing out there. I don't know if we need to do that because we're doing it by phone, or that way we all know by in the morning if we have a quorum or not. That's just up to everybody else. What do they want to do based upon what happened and that was done in the past?
This is Lauren. I will say, I think that a lot of that is taken care of via email now, but I know you're not on email as regularly as the rest of us. So maybe Summer, if you could, whoever you don't hear back from on email, reach out or something along those lines.
You could, Summer, you could always call me from my cell phone.
Okay, yes, I only hear back from about 1 or 2 people, just I think because of how I word it. So yes, I can do both though, and see how that goes.
The email actually, if my memory serves me correctly, says to let you know if we're not going to be able to be there.
Right.
So that's why I never let you know, because I'm only supposed to let you know if I'm not going to be able to be there. So
right.
So
And,
yeah. So
yeah.
I think that's a good way to do it, because it's going to decrease your work a little bit, as opposed to doing it the opposite way. Maybe you can continue to do that, but yet Peter's the only one that you actually call, since he doesn't use email, but as far as calling, but doing email for the rest, because I mean, it just seems like a lot of work for you, but maybe that's a way to divide it, better for yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm happy to do either or both. I would just need to know whoever, if there are certain people that prefer phone, I'm happy to, continue sending out the email to all, but also following up, if there's just certain people that I should do that with. I just need to know who that is.
Yeah, and maybe committee members could take it upon themselves to try to respond. But then if something comes up, like for example, I haven't been responding to the email, but say something came up today or yesterday, we could take it upon ourselves to reach out and contact you, so that so that you're not tracking us down.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. I don't respond because she says not to respond if you are actually going to be there. So
right. My request is that if you are not going to attend, otherwise we assume that it's a standing meeting and, pre-scheduled, and that you will be in attendance unless you let me know that you will not be in attendance. If you'd like that, sent out differently, I'm happy to do that. Just, let me know whatever works, for you guys. I'm open to whatever is best.
Personally, I like the way you do it. I think that's the best way to do it. But I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that, because, don't respond if you are going to be there. It's only if you aren't going to be that you let her know.
Correct.
Yeah, and my suggestion was just if the email goes out early and say last week, I think I'm going to be there, but then something comes up the day of, then it's incumbent upon each individual committee member to reach out so that we would know in advance that the quorum wasn't going to be achieved.
That's a good point.
Yes, I agree. And if I think I've been trying to send the link to the meeting out the day of the meeting, so it's kind of more at the top of everyone's email list. I know we all probably get so many emails ahead for that day, but if that is still working for the committee, or if you want it sooner, let me know. But when I send those out, I'll continue to try to send those out the morning of the meeting, and add in that, again, that if you are not able to attend, to let me know, so you can just respond back to that a little more easily. If something does come up last minute, it's right there in your email.
Bill has his hands up. Go ahead, Bill.
For me, I've been wondering as to whether it would be maybe more efficient, rather than ask if you're not going to make it, to ask if you're going to make it. And that way you're kind of have a list of people who say they're going to be there, rather than having like no responses and not knowing what that means. Maybe somebody hasn't opened the email or whatever yet. So just a thought, I think that might be more efficient and allow allow you or whoever is sort of coordinating the quorum side of things to see who has said that they're actually going to attend. And of course, it would be the considerate thing to do that as soon as we know if we can't make it to let you know.
That is, that works for me. So if anybody else has any concerns about that, but I can certainly kind of just, tweak that wording to let me know. And then, I would expect to hear back from each of you then in advance of each meeting. Does that seem to be the consensus? Maybe we try it out for next month and see how it goes.
There you go. Put it on trial.
Okay.
That's a good idea. It's probably, that's a good point what Bill said about, maybe somebody didn't get the email for whatever reason. They accidentally clicked it, but it went to old mail, who knows, something like that. This makes it more clean cut. I think that's a good point. And then Peter could be the one that you call, but the other ones, we do it that way. That's a good point, Bill. Yeah, switch it.
Don't hear from some people, then, say you've heard from 4 and, 3 of us haven't responded, then, maybe to call those 3.
I can follow up with a call. If that's, yes, if that sounds what's best for the group, that's how we'll proceed for the next meeting then.
Yeah, it increases engagement. So that we're more likely to actually read the email if we think we have to respond to it. Okay, that sounds good. And then did we, okay, yeah, I think we're kind of closing in on it, guys. Is there some other things we want to discuss? We might be able to actually have a meeting that ends early rather than late. And then we'll, be ready for that December meeting.
Are we ready for a motion to adjourn?
Actually, I don't know if we need a motion. I think John can just decree it from on high.
I could just decree. Yeah, well, not hearing from anyone, we'll call this meeting adjourned.
8:09 p.m.